6th of August, number of the day is about 37%, Melissa Tighy, and I cannot believe that we are still talking about this in 2026 because this has got to do with the number of board seats in top 50 companies for women.
Yes, and that number actually gets more shocking if it goes to the broader, not just the top 50 JSE companies, but to other companies. It's between 20 and 22%. And exactly, why are we having this conversation in 2026? What have we been doing wrong in the past how many years? I think this year is the 70th year since that Women March. So what are we doing wrong? And also, why are we still having these conversations? I know it's Women's Day on Sunday. I know it's Women's Month. I was at an AI and women leadership event yesterday, and we were talking about the fact that every year we have this month, every year we're having these discussions about board representation, women not being in the top positions everywhere, or being at the top positions, but not necessarily having a say in anything. And then also, why are we only doing it once a year? It's the same with the 16 days. Why only for those 16 days?
Because then comes September, we don't have this conversation again.
No.
And then next year, August, we do. Interesting as well, if you look at the global context, which I see is cited here as well, worryingly, in my view, is that South Africa is actually better than many of its global peers. And if we're looking at 37%, the contracted number closer to 22 for executive directors, this is terrifying on a global scale.
Yes, it is. As a woman, it is terrifying to know that there are so few women making the conversations in those senior roles. And it's exactly the same thing, for example, with AI taking over now. It's something I also heard yesterday, and excuse me if I repeat it wrong, it says that AI does not create bias. It just repeats it. If the bias is there, if we look to leadership in the next 20 years, what are we going to see then? I just think it's quite worrying ahead of Women's Day. I know it's a bit of a tough topic, but I think we should be starting to ask the questions. Why in 2026 are we still talking about it?
As we land this plane, just as a woman in corporate South Africa, in media as well, what worries me when you look at a number as low as this, apparently one of the better ones globally, if you can believe that, is young girls growing up, even in 2026, are not seeing enough women in executive positions, but more importantly, what you spoke about, leadership position. You can have the executive title. It doesn't mean necessarily that you're a leader. And I worry about young girls coming through who every August we're getting told, or they're getting told, you can be anything you want, but the example isn't being set.
One question. Give me one AI big CEO that's a woman.
I can't.
Exactly. And I think that's where our problem lies. And I think it's not necessarily about not having representation. It's not about not having a seat at the table. I think we do have seats at the table. I do think we do have representation. But I think it's about what we do with that representation, what we do with that seat. Are we taking it higher up, or are we just sitting down?
That's the question. And that's the number as well. We gave you 37%, but as Melissa Tighy says, when you really dig down into women only holding about 22% of executive roles on prominent boards, that's the very worrying stat as well. So what do you think is going wrong? Why do we only have the conversation every August? What happens in September? What happens in October, November, etc.? Why does it only come up at this time of the year? And what do we do with the information? That's the number of the day, 37%.